Sometimes cheaters get caught on paternity court.
This is exactly why y'all don't have no business young, running around here, using sex like it's like an extracurricular activity.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you went and had revenge sex.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the whole time it was a lie?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Bosley is a pretty responsible mother because she's here in court to protect her son from the scheming lies of the defendant. Where Miss Jackson claims that the 3-month-old baby boy was fathered by the plaintiff's son, Miss Bosley's here to reveal the truth.
My son made a terrible decision by signing a birth certificate. You know, basically, I just feel like we need to know because I don't want my son to have to go through life wondering if this is his child or not.
So you feel like you gotta save your son from a mistake he made?
I do.
With the signed birth certificate basically a noose around Mr. Bosley's neck, he better have some evidence to claim why he's not Maverick's father. When Miss Jackson first met Mr. Bosley, he promised her a happy family with kids of their own. What changed then?
I wasn't there during the whole sex and cheating thing. I found out she was pregnant at maybe about 4 months, maybe. And I told my son immediately, that's not your baby. Like, you've been with her not even long enough.
So, Miss Jackson, when you found out you were pregnant, you told Mr. Bosley?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's enough backstory, but the real question is, how did Miss Bosley end up being a part of all this drama? Miss Jackson openly admitted to sleeping with men other than Mr. Bosley. So when she turned up pregnant, Miss Bosley tried to warn her son that this woman's just trying to rope you in.
Your Honor, I only cheated on him once, and that's with the person that was at work. But I did have sex with one other person that was there at the job, and that was the person that came to the house. The other person that I didn't have oral sex with.
This is a mess. This is a mess.
Yeah.
By this point, even Judge Lauren is confused. Miss Jackson was too busy getting into bed with other men, and now she has the audacity to pretend that she actually cares for baby Maverick. The judge scolds her and tells her that a woman sleeping around with 3 men is the worst woman to ever exist.
There's no reason a beautiful young girl like yourself should be running around here laying around with this many men. It's unacceptable. I'm not saying this to you. Look at me when I'm talking to you, Miss Jackson. I'm not saying this to you because I'm angry. I'm saying it to you because I don't know if you have anybody in your life to sit you down and say, you don't do that.
With Judge Lauren hot and temperamental, it's finally revealed why Miss Jackson has been embracing her promiscuous ways. She grew up without a father, but that's no reason to cheat on the man you were in love with. Now she's got a son who might end up suffering the same fate as her. Finally, Miss Bosley gets a chance to speak.
In all honesty, I was like, that's not your son, immediately, because this made me think twice.
And Mom, once you got that picture, you believe this other man is the father.
For sure.
Judge Lauren asks Jerome to escort Mr. Green, the other man Miss Jackson slept with, into the court. But this man bluntly denies being Maverick's father. Mr. Bosley is hopeful that the paternity test would come out positive, and maybe he'll even forgive Miss Jackson for her infidelity. So, are they ready to hear the results?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Bosley. That is your son, your biological son.
Mr. Wilson's absolutely done with Miss Dean's behavior. After how he opened his home to her, she's done nothing but torture him. He thought that baby girl Jakaya was his daughter, but after he found Miss Dean frolicking about with other men, he's having second thoughts.
I asked
So now
her,
you
could she
denied
have
her,
a
though?
baby for me?
That you planned.
Because she knew what I've been through in the past with not having kids and how desperately I wanted to have a kid. And she had me under the impression that she was willing to go through with it with me.
And I did.
And
you don't see the baby?
Then, you know, I see the baby, but I don't see me in the baby. I see the ex in the baby.
When Miss Dean first found out she was pregnant, she was 100% sure the baby belonged to Mr. Wilson. The moment she shared the news with him, he was over the moon. When the baby came into the world, he was there to cut the cord and even signed the birth certificate. What does Miss Dean have to say?
How was it 30 days when we was having concessions all that time? He is lying, bro. Stop lying. You was making me upset. I apologize, but he is sitting here lying. Gennaro haven't helped me since day one. Ever since that baby came out, I provided everything.
Now, Mr. Wilson started to take care of Miss Dean, But when he saw that she was having her ex around, it made him absolutely furious. Miss Dean claims nothing happened with the ex and he just stayed on the couch. But Mr. Wilson insists that it was more than that. He ends up confronting the ex.
I asked him, I said, is y'all having a child together? He's like, yeah. I said, what y'all supposed to be having? He said, a little girl. He went into details. So that fueled my doubts.
Wait a minute, this was before the baby was born?
Yes, before.
So why'd you sign the birth certificate?
When the baby was born, it was so light and bright. I was like, he's so dark. There's no way he's the father. I still didn't have doubts.
Before the baby's birth, Mr. Wilson had a rough idea that Miss Dean was not being faithful to him. After the confrontation with the ex, it felt like he wouldn't sign the birth certificate because he was so angry. But in the end, he still signed it. Why would he do such a foolish thing?
I looked at the baby, Your Honor, and I said, it's a possibility this could be my baby, but it's in fact her baby. And until I know if it's my baby, I'm going to give it back her baby. I'm not going to hold the baby up, not going to take it away from her mom. I'm giving it back to her. We dropped the baby off at a couple of weeks, and I haven't seen the baby since.
And there it was, the proof in broad daylight. Since then, Mr. Wilson has been on a mission. He decided that until he could prove that Jakaya was his daughter, he was claiming sole custody of their baby daughter. And it's been 17 months since Miss Dean has seen her.
He used me, baby.
She watched too many Lifetimes,
No,
Your Honor.
he used me, Your Honor. After I had that baby, Your Honor, he proposed to me, told me that we were gonna get married, moved in together. He lied, took the baby, tried to move away, had the baby in his care. He never took her because I gave her to him.
So this is the point I'm getting at.
Turns out that Miss Dean did the same thing to him almost 9 years ago. Even Mr. Wilson's brother was shocked that he's still with her. He even thinks that she's after him for the money. Well, the only thing to settle this is to bring in the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are not the father. Miss Faithful style.
I apologize for taking you through this, but I am gonna find out who her father is, and I am gonna.
You gotta find out?
No.
Some mistakes haunt you forever. And in Mr. Fisher's case, it was when he signed the birth certificate of beautiful baby Sophia. Thinking he was taking care of a girl born from his own blood, he was shocked when her fiancé revealed to her a nasty truth.
One of his family members in Florida and another one of his family members that he was with at the time had texted me. He said, Trey's cheating on you, which we call him Trey, but his name is John. Me, I was hurt. And so I went to be by myself at the pool area where I was at the time. A guy walked up to me and he's like, well, you look like you need somebody to talk to. Do you want to go to my camper and talk?
Imagine you're engaged to marry one of the sweetest men on the planet, and you go ahead and cheat on him. Poor Mr. Fisher had no idea what his fiancée was cooking up behind his back while vacationing in Florida. Now he's trying to figure out whether or not he wants to marry her.
Did you ever find out if Mr. Fisher was actually cheating that time?
Yes, Your Honor. Me and him talked about it and the family member admitted that it was a lie, that he did not cheat on me.
So the family member sent a text and lied.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you went and had revenge sex.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the whole time it was a lie?
Yes, Your Honor.
The surprise for Mr. Fisher was that he never knew that someone else might have fathered baby Sophia. All this time he had been thinking he was the daddy. Even when they found out Miss Doyle was pregnant, he was happy. But Miss Doyle was busy nursing her feelings of guilt.
I had cheated on him. So whenever I seen the lines, I was kind of upset. I was like, well, this isn't happening, you know? Because I knew he didn't know that I had cheated on him. And I just couldn't find it in myself to tell him because he was so excited I didn't want to hurt him, you know?
But it killed me. Everything inside of me is ripped apart because of it. That baby is my world, and I want her to be mine.
The even more heartbreaking news is that even though Miss Doyle regrets her actions, it doesn't change the fact that the conception dates line up with the night she slept with another man. What really pains Mr. Fisher is that he had lots of big plans for their future until Miss Doyle ruined them completely.
Miss Doyle, when he asked you to marry him, did you say to yourself, I need to tell the truth?
I did. In my head, I was like, well, it wouldn't be right to marry him if the baby isn't his. But I was thinking, okay, well, he doesn't know. And that was wrong of me, myself, to do that. But I love him. And if we were going to be a family, that would be a great way to start off. So I said yes.
When Mr. Fisher reminisces about the birth, it's like someone handed a little kid a cute puppy. He speaks with such fondness about how he was so excited to see the baby come out, and how those 3 at the hospital meant so much to him. Little did he know that soon enough, Miss Doyle would be confessing her sins.
Thomas cheated on me. I tell her I love her, she's my world, so is Sophia, but I shouldn't have to stay and take care of some other man's baby, because that's what a man is supposed to do. I'll stay and take care of her because I know she thinks that I'm the father.
Despite dealing with so much pain, it's admirable how Mr. Fisher agreed to stay with Miss Doyle and take care of baby Sophia, in case it turns out the baby's father isn't him. And finally, Miss Doyle submits to court a calendar she made to keep track of her conception dates.
You took vacation April 21st to May 1st.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's the window of time in which you cheated.
Yes,
Admit
Your
it.
Honor.
The window of conception would be between April 19th to April 26th for a child born on January 15th.
Before opening the results, Judge Lauren asks Mr. Fisher if he's mentally prepared to handle what's about to come his way. Will he be able to move on if baby Sophia turns out to be that man's? Will he want to stay with Miss Doyle and marry her? Stay tuned as the results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fisher, you are the father.
It's one thing to be a cheater and keep it in the closet, but it's a whole new clown show when someone admits they love cheating. Mr. Muhammad is here to prove he fathered Miss Walton's daughter, Brooklyn, but Miss Walton has some other claims to make.
I was having more sexual intercourse with the other guy than Mr. Muhammad.
So what was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Muhammad around the time Brooklyn was conceived?
The nature of our relationship was Anwar was already having an affair with another woman before he had moved in with me.
Openly admitting to cheating is one thing, but being so proud of it is just astonishing. Even Judge Lauren is surprised with Miss Walton's guts. According to Miss Walton, the only reason she was having an affair behind Mr. Muhammad's back was because he was sleeping with another woman.
She told you the other guy was her cousin?
Her cousin.
That's not true, Your Honor. He's
I
always
know-
known this guy.
I know.
Was.
That's the other man that she wanted to be with.
So you're saying you were in a relationship?
In a relationship.
And you're saying you were not in a relationship when Brooklyn was conceived? You have an older child together, am I correct?
Yes, 4 years old.
But how did Miss Walton manage to pull off all the sneaking around? Turns out she would lie to Mr. Muhammad and tell him she's off to work. In reality, she would be taking her side piece of a boy toy to a hotel to get the nasty deed done. But the question is, did she stay intimate with Mr. Muhammad during that time?
The moment I thought that I was pregnant, I text the guy and I tell him I missed my period. Mr. Muhammad, during that time, who was living with me, got my phone, looked at the text message, and confronted me.
Ain't wrong. That's wrong, Your Honor. What happened was I came home, she sleep, I looked at her phone, I started seeing a full-fledged text message about having sex, all that stuff.
So, how did Mr. Muhammad find out that Miss Walton was sleeping with the man she said was her cousin? It started with her refusing to have sex with him and acting all funny. Mr. Muhammad thought she was just being rebellious. But then one day, he checked her phone.
I grabbed the phone, I started looking at the text message, I see the conversation between her and the gentleman.
Okay.
I confront her about it.
What did the conversation say?
Basically saying that we having sex, period. Sending pictures back and forth with each other, they sending body part pictures, all that stuff.
According to Mr. Muhammad, he and Miss Walton were in a committed relationship, and they already have an older child together. So when he received news of her pregnancy, he assumed it was mine. Little did he know that his girlfriend had a whole surprise package prepared for him.
I conceived February 4th. No, the 5th. That's the day after our oldest daughter's first birthday.
But if you conceived that night, wouldn't that make Mr. Muhammad Brooklyn's biological
But I was
father?
having sex with him and the other guy
Look at
that whole week.
Like, Brooklyn looks like me. Look at her. I know
don't
that.
think
That's
she
my
is.
baby right
I think she's the other guy.
It looks like Miss Walton doesn't want Mr. Muhammad to be Brooklyn's father. Everything from her actions and words is so obvious. But Mr. Muhammad's living in some land of delusion, because according to him, he knew Brooklyn was his daughter the moment he held her.
She didn't tell me nothing. She's lying. She said that she never told me anything.
When did you find out she was pregnant?
I found out through my family.
That she was having sex with both men. You weren't using protection with the other man?
No.
You weren't using
Yeah.
protection, Mr. Muhammad?
No.
Trifle.
You were having sex around the window of conception with both men?
Yes.
Crazy.
This is 50-50 no matter how we slice it.
Right.
Judge Lauren ends up confronting Miss Walton That's why she does not want the other man to be the dad so bad. Turns out it's because he's wealthier than Mr. Muhammad. Does that mean Miss Walton's just a gold digger? Well, this isn't about her. It's about baby Brooklyn. And it's time for Jerome to reveal the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Muhammad, you are the father.
Yes. I told you, I know what I'm talking about. You hear me? I know what I'm talking about.
Right now, you have 2 children together. Let's stop making this a fight. Do you understand?
Yes.